to come up with the scoop, to justify your existence on the ESPN tree or Fox Sports tree, whatever, you're going to get a bunch of this.
Yeah.
You just are. I mean, it's the nature of the beast. It's just there's so much disinformation, misinformation, but it's all about the competition and getting there and getting eyeballs. So, I mean, you got to take all of it. But when it is prefaced with someone told me, then you can just say that's nonsense.
Well, like I said, I'm not blaming Adrian Wojciechowski. I'm blaming all the people that took the word told and equated it to reporting when that is not the same thing. So there's a reason why he's a journalist and he understands certain words you have to say incredibly specifically. Because if you were like, use a synonym and be like, oh, it's the same thing. It is not the same thing. It is not the same thing at all.
He's done this a few times where he's reported stuff or has said stuff that led to reports that weren't true.
But like I said, it's not him. It's because everyone knows he's so linked and that they don't listen specifically to what they said. And it's crazy because everyone has like DVR or anything that can replay it back to make sure specifically what he said. And
yeah,
it's
but
not his fault.
He becomes the source.
Right. Their own people become the source.
Well, the problem is everyone sees him when he's talking. So like when you're like, yo, you can't interpret things correctly. This is what you can't do. It's different for like Wojciechowski if you misinterpreted the guy who's like, we don't know who that person is. I'm not even saying this guy might not even be a guy, but like we don't see them talking. Everyone like Wojciechowski's on TV all like around the clock. So everyone's like, oh, I heard from a source. It's like, oh, Adrian Wojciechowski, who's on like The Jump. And then he's on NBA at 7:00, and then he's on this podcast. It's like everyone. Everything he says is broadcast in some capacity. And I guess the last one I'll just point out that was also the reason why I never listened to this guy is I remember when Sean Taylor was unfortunately killed in his home. Colin Cowherd just assumed it was because he was linked in with bad people. And thought he got in with a bad group of people, and then they killed him or whatever. It was just kids that broke into his house trying to steal stuff, I believe. There was no relationship whatsoever, and he was just. It's bad enough the guy died, but this guy who's a national radio host just decided just to smear a guy's name while he's being put in the ground. So that's why this always bothers me.
Yeah, good call. But. Hey,
we can start some rumors now with the NFL draft if we want to.
Yeah, Shefty go ahead. Shefty and Jay Glazer on line one. Hang on a second, but no, go ahead. I
was just going to say this NFL draft. The first two positions are the most anticlimactic that I can remember in history. I mean, the chances of Jacksonville not taking Trevor Lawrence are nothing, and the Jets are going to take Zach Wilson. I mean, After that, I'm thinking, here we go. I'm thinking Justin Fields is going to San Francisco.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Good. I like it.
So, it's gives us something to talk about, if nothing else.
But, I would say, again, I know why Mac Jones is linked to him a lot. And I still think that's a real possibility. I just feel – I think my main problem with them going with Mac Jones is not that he can't be good, because obviously you look at like the quarterbacks that have had success in Kyle Shanahan's system. They are like pocket passers that essentially just operate within the pocket. Matt Schaub, Matt Ryan, and Jimmy Garoppolo. But to be fair to what you're saying is, like, you gave up 3 first-round picks. Because I think they're the team with the most pressure to make this draft work because they gave up so much draft capital to move all the way up. They have to hit on this.
You're saying San Francisco?
Your point, Lugs. Yes. To be fair on your point, Lugs, they have to pick a quarterback that has an extra level of a dynamism or dynamic, whatever you want to say, that Justin Fields, because obviously Justin Fields, I mean, I believe in the championship game, I think on 6 carries had like 60 yards rushing. And obviously, we saw in the game against Clemson all the great throws he can make too. And I'm not saying he's still not a work in progress. He might be less polished than some of the other guys, but like I believe in Kyle Shanahan being able to develop a system around a guy. And obviously, you can't teach the raw talent that Justin Fields has to Mac Jones. So I agree with you on that instance. Or even Trey Lance, who obviously has less games played, probably isn't as good an athlete, but his system at North Dakota State, it had a lot of fullback. It was mainly a rushing. He was all play action. So he maybe is more familiar with the kind of offense the 49ers run, even more so than the Mac Jones or Justin Fields. So he might be the guy to go. But I agree, like it should be Trey Lance or Justin Fields just because I think their upside, while maybe they're not as polished as a passer as Mac Jones, I think the other things they could do beyond that and everything we've heard, like they're both extremely intelligent, hardworking guys. Like to be like they're not going to be able to develop into something better, they will.
You know, at first I thought Jacksonville had the most to lose because they have the number 1 pick. But when you look at them, they're kind of playing with house money because there's no expectations for the London Jaguars, and they can do whatever they want. It's a new regime, new coaching staff. So I think they're cool. I agree with you. San Francisco has the most to lose because of their tradition. And you go back to Bill Walsh and you go back to, Montana. It's like, we got to do this right or people are going to be on them like crazy. I agree with you on that.
And here's the other thing too, is obviously they've had problems with injuries, mainly with Jimmy Garoppolo in two of the 3 years he's been there. As a full starter for the year, like he got injured. But if you look at as good as Kyle Shanahan is, and obviously you believe in him because of how they landed a Super Bowl run where he was the offensive coordinator, and obviously he was the head coach of the team that made it to the Super Bowl and lost too. But even if you look at that, if you take a step back, they are below 500 in 3 of his 4 years. So they have to start putting, winning seasons, multiple winning seasons, not just 1 in 4 years. They have to start putting them together. So.
All right, let's move on. Who's your favorite? Go ahead, Lux. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the Dallas Cowboys are the ones who really have to hit this year. I would think that they would go with defense, but I saw a story that said that Jones is really enamored with Kyle Pitts, the tight end from Florida, and he is a specimen, no doubt about it. But they've got receivers. It's just they better get themselves a defense that can stop some people.
Yeah, that clock's ticking there, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the only reason I don't put them on there is because essentially their general manager is Jerry Jones, so he's not going to fire himself.
I'm my own grandpa, right? I can't do that. What do I do?
But he wants to win.
That's right.
And I just say that for them to win, they got to stop some people. I mean, Dak Prescott's great, and they've got great receivers, and they've got Zeke. But you
just win, baby.
Just win. Stop a couple of times in the game.
Speaking of just win, I think the Raiders. Now, obviously not Gruden because he's, I believe, 4 years into a 10-year contract. He's not going anywhere.
Right.
But I do worry about Mike Mayock because you look at like all the guys they let go on their offensive line and how they haven't really hit on like a pass rusher in all the drafts that he's had. They got rid of Arden Key, who they drafted fairly early, I believe in the 2018 or maybe I believe it was 2018 draft. That he really has to hit because I think there's a chance like he goes twisting in the wind because Gruden's already going to feel pressure, even though, like I said, I don't think they're going to push him out because they have to eat, I think, $60 million. Because it's not like with the players, the coaches are guaranteed. So they have to eat $60 million. So like he's not going anywhere. But he's gonna have to, all right, in order to get the fan base going, you're gonna have to let go of somebody, and they might have to let go of Mike Mayock. Going back to what like Lug said about Jerry Jones, I agree with Jerry Jones on at least this. Kyle Pitts is my favorite player. You watch that guy.
In all the draft, that's your guy?
Oh my God, yes. Yeah. He is I mean, he plays tight end, but if you look at like his measurables, it's that of like Calvin Johnson or Mike Evans. He's an elite wide receiver who just so happens to play tight end. Like he's a complete mismatch anywhere you line him up. So I'm not gonna say I'm gonna become a fan of the team who he goes to because like there's some teams I just don't like. I'm never gonna root for. I will start watching their games if Kyle Pitts is drafted by them.
So we need a Kyle Pitts fan club. Am I hearing this?
Yeah, he's going to be a wing off of the Joe Burrow fan club.
We'll work on that concept.
Oh, speaking of Joe Burrow,
yeah,
the Bengals, Jamar Chase, LSU reunited with Burrow.
That's a good one.
It's a real possibility. I mean, look, obviously you want to keep Joe Burrow happy. So if Joe Burrow wants Chase, then maybe you go with him. I think they should go offensive line just because I believe so much in Joe Burrow. This isn't a knock on Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is going to have the potential to be great at a lot of places. I just feel if you watch like Joe Burrow last year, he was such a magician that he can, if he has extra time where he doesn't have to run around as much, he can make magic happen with like lesser guys. And I understand they believe receiver is a weakness because I believe they did try to go after Kenny Golladay unsuccessfully. But like they definitely have a feel that they need another wide receiver. But number two, the reason why is there's a lot of good wide receivers in this draft that are going to go in the second round or third round. I don't think it's as much where like a stud, like offensive tackle, one of my other favorite players, Penei Sewell, he's not going to be around in the second round. Nowhere close. I mean, he's not going outside the top 10.
I think the Panthers will get him to help out Darnold.
Well, yeah, they need one too. I mean, that's the thing is like this draft has a lot of good offensive tackles, but I just don't think you find I don't think you find as many great offensive tackles in the second round. I'm not saying you won't find them J-Boy and I know this from Green Bay. This goes back to Ted Thompson. They don't draft wide receivers in the first round, and for the most part, under Ted Thompson and stuff, they are very successful. Davante Adams, who's one of the best wide receivers in the league, he's a second-round guy. Greg Jennings had a lot of great years with them, second-round guy.
Jordy,
more local guy, Randall Cobb.
Yep.
He was a second-round guy.
Jordy Nelson.
Jordy Nelson, yes, Jordy Nelson, second-round guy. So I like I said, I think Chase will be great wherever he goes. I just think.
Will he be as good as his old running mate Justin Jefferson? Have a breakout year like he did for the Vikings? Is Chase better than Jefferson?
Let's put it this way. Obviously, what Justin Jefferson did last year was amazing.
Yeah.
But when they were on the field together, it was Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase was the number one.
Right.
Just it wasn't a 1A, 1B. Jamar Chase was number one.
Yeah.
So.
All right, give me your best and your bust. Who's your favorite player? You've kind of mentioned that, but who you think's going to flame out?
Oh, flame out.
Here's mine. I'm going to go for it right here. Trevor Lawrence. All right. How many one overall picks really are successful, guys? Come on. Really? If he gets on the cover of the Madden game, he's done.
It's a 50-50 shot usually.
And do you put your faith in the old Ohio State coach to lead the Jaguars and protect Trevor Lawrence from enemy attack? Really?
You approach this in a different way, but it is actually a very legitimate point. Like, it's not that I don't think Trevor Lawrence is good. To be fair to what you're saying, Urban Meyer is he has no background, but I believe even back his last few years with Ohio State, he was more of a CEO. Like, he's very good organizational. I don't know. He's still involved, I think, in the X's and O's. I'm not going to act like it. But, like, when you hear about, like, how they transitioned to Day, it sounds like Day was already controlling a lot of their offense anyway.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't a lot of input, or it doesn't feel like there was a lot of input from Urban.
I have no doubt that Lawrence is gifted. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying, in the real world, playing football – in the National Football League, can he be protected to do his job?
To be fair to your point, since the Cons have bought them, and I don't even think obviously the Cons are smart people in their other business ventures, but with this football team, it's been a mess regardless. So yeah, I mean, I'm